Right now at 11, 10 people lost their homes to this wildfire in the gorge.
Saw it start in the garage and go through the windows and the whole thing, man. It just was fast and furious. Yeah, crazy.
Why some are now taking a railroad company to court. Plus, the search for the suspect behind the wheel of this truck where police say they were involved in a violent case of road rage. But first,
wearing the letter O, Damian Lillard.
Well, a standing ovation from Damian Lillard's former home crowd in his very first game back at Moda. Thanks so much for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm David Molko, and tonight fans at the Moda Center may have cheered the most they ever have for a visiting team as Dame time was on the clock over Rip City's home court, though this time he wore a brand new uniform. Orlando Sanchez joining us live now. And Orlando, while fans may miss Damian Lillard, it was clear tonight, Buck or not, they still love him. And I don't think the Blazers squeaking out a win over their old teammate hurt much either.
Oh, without a doubt, David. A sellout crowd inside Moda Center. The more than 19,000 fans in attendance saw it all. Emotions flowing in Rip City. A chance to say thank you to Damian Lillard, one of the greatest to ever do it in a Trailblazers uniform, in his first trip back to Portland as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. And it was a night no one will forget.
Welcome back to Rip City.
It's just been like being back home.
A homecoming for Damian Lillard.
Being around my family, seeing all the faces, being in my house, things like that. It's just great to be back.
A night fans have been waiting for.
Today's my birthday and I love Dame, so it was perfect.
I bought tickets as soon as they came on sale.
I love Dame, have always been a big fan.
Emotional because this is his home, he's our family.
Just like old times.
From Weber State,
Rip City showing love and appreciation to the letter O. A thank you for 11 seasons of memories. The Blazers' all-time leading scorer, soaking in the moment. This time wearing green.
I just kind of stood in it. It was like, man, this is a big deal, just to take that moment and to have everybody in the building just show me that type of love. It's acknowledgement of a lot of things, during my time here, so I appreciated it.
Video tributes flowing through the first quarter. The good times on and off the court, giving back to a city that means so much to him.
It's going to always be a part of me. It's going to be a huge part of my legacy and what I've been able to accomplish as a man, as an athlete.
While Lillard competes for championships in Milwaukee, you never know what the future holds. Like Dame time, returning to Portland one day.
I wanted the opportunity to contend, and our team has an opportunity to contend for this year and years to come. And I'm just living in that, but I definitely, like I said when I was traded, I see a day where, I'll be in a Trailblazer uniform again, before I'm done. But like I said, I'm in this time.
So you're saying there's a chance. I asked Damian Lillard before the game what emotions would be like and if he would hold it all in. He said he wouldn't cry. He's not a big crier. Well, he held up his end of the bargain tonight, confirming he did not cry tonight and made sure to not touch his eyes or anything like that so that people didn't even think he cried. But I think he's ready to move on after what has been a draining 24 hours or so for Damian Lillard. But he scores 25 points in the game, but no wrist tap tonight. The Trailblazers get it done and defeat Dame and the Bucks 119-116 here at Moda Center. David?
Yeah, proud to see Rip City pulling out all the stops tonight in more ways than one. Thanks so much, Orlando. All right, let's get to some breaking news now. A semi-truck that rolled over on the interstate bridge. This alert came in around 7:30 this evening. WashDOT saying all southbound lanes of I-5 were closed at the bridge with the backup extending back to Mill Plain. It appears this was cleared within the last 45 minutes or so, and traffic is moving once again. No word there if anyone was injured. Also breaking tonight, a person was attacked with a knife by a MAX station in Portland just before 8. This was at the stop on Northeast Holiday near 7th Avenue. That's in the Lloyd district. Police say the victim was on the platform, but it's not clear if the attack happened there or on the train. The person was slashed in the leg and taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Transit police were able to find the suspect and arrest him. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, Oregon Supreme Court is expected to rule tomorrow on whether 10 senators who walked out of last year's legislative session will be barred from re-election. The court has to decide what was intended by Measure 113, which voters passed in 2022. It temporarily disqualifies a lawmaker from seeking re-election if they have 10 or more unexcused absences. The current dispute largely centers over whether it's meant to apply to the term right after those absences or the one after that. We'll bring you the ruling rather as soon as it is announced on Thursday. A man who apparently accidentally caught fire in Beaverton City Park yesterday has now died. Police say today he had an accelerant on his clothing which ignited when he lit a cigarette. People in the park were able to help smother the flames, but he died at the hospital. He was 29 years old. And Beaverton police are looking for a man they say shot someone in a case of road rage. This was a week ago Monday on January 22nd near Southwest Cedar Hills Boulevard and Walker Road. Police say the 29-year-old victim survived. They shared photos of the suspect's truck. It is a white GMC Sierra quad cab without a visible license plate. It's also missing a passenger side mirror. Authorities described the suspect as a white man, 60 to 70, with gray facial hair, who was wearing an orange and yellow baseball hat at the time. If you know anything, you're asked to call Beaverton Police. New tonight, a man whose home burned down in the Tunnel 5 fire last summer is suing a railway company that operates freight trains through the gorge. That's after a separate Washington State report last September found that a train likely caused that blaze. Alma McCarty is in the newsroom with those details.
Well, David, this afternoon I spoke with the attorney leading this civil case. He is looking to get his plaintiffs back what was taken from them as a result of this fire.
7 months ago,
the threat is all around us, as dry as it's been.
Flames and smoke filled the sky as the Tunnel 5 fire burned on the Washington side of the Columbia River Gorge.
I watched the whole thing. The planes were hitting it with the retardant in the water like over and over, and nothing you could do.
Firefighters spent days working to contain the fire as teams assessed the damage. Hundreds of acres burned and 10 homes destroyed. A couple months later, in a preliminary report, the state's Department of Natural Resources determined the likely cause to be a BNSF train. Due to the age and model type, it's highly possible the train emitted exhaust that could have started a fire. Cut to January 2024.
We believe, based upon the information that we have, that it was started by the train.
Attorneys with a national environmental law firm now represent at least one plaintiff in a newly filed lawsuit. In it, they claim BNSF negligently operated a 46-year-old train on tracks they failed to maintain and had not cleared away vegetation near the tracks that ultimately caught fire.
Our home is where we feel safe, and it's where we feel comfortable. And when you lose that, there is a feeling of uneasiness and displacement that lasts until you get into another permanent home.
Managing partner Gerald Singleton explains that although his client is physically okay, the pain of evacuating and losing his home to the Tunnel 5 fire remains.
And they're realizing just the magnitude of what it is that they've lost. And that's where a lot of these people are. They're going through that. They're realizing that it's going to be a long time before they're back to where they are before.
In a statement to KGW, BNSF says they do not comment on pending litigation, but wrote, "That being said, we are committed to reducing the risk of fires around our tracks and equipment." The railroad says they already conduct risk assessments, clear brush, use spark shields, and designate fire watchers to react quickly.
Now, the attorney tells me they haven't set a number for damages, expecting a payout from the company should they win or settle to cover all of what was lost in the fire. He expects other families impacted from this area to join. We will continue to follow this suit and bring you the latest updates as we get them. David?
Yeah, definitely an intriguing case. Thanks so much, Alma. All right, I love this next story. You'll see why. A Portland couple hit hard by the winter storm became victims again when their badly damaged home was broken into. Yeah, that's brutal. But tonight they're talking about how they were able to track down the suspect themselves. So after trees crushed the Southwest Portland home belonging to Shuju Wang and Mike Coleman, they moved to a hotel. But then they went home to pick up things one day and found $15,000 worth of stuff, including some jewelry, missing. So they started piecing clues together. First, it turns out a carbon dioxide monitor in the home also keeps a log of movement, meaning they were able to pinpoint when someone was in the house. Then they put the word out and found a neighbor had surveillance cameras that picked up this, a suspicious truck. That happened to be the same night they started getting Find My iPhone notifications tracking some of their Apple products, which a neighbor eventually followed to an apartment in Tiger.
So I just drove over there to see if the pickup truck was there, and lo and behold, he passed me as I pulled in and stopped at his apartment, so I knew the exact apartment.
I'm very sorry to have, lost some of these material things, but I'm still just thinking, wow, we are so lucky.
Hey, that's one way to look at it. We appreciate their sleuthing, too. After taking photos and collecting evidence, the homeowners turned amateur detectives, went to Portland police, who got a search warrant, and then arrested 54-year-old Jack Kowalski. The couple says they got some of their belongings back, though some jewelry is still missing. Meanwhile, we learned today there were more than 770 trees that came down during the winter storm. Wow, those are just the ones Portland city crews responded to. If you're worried about trees on your property that could still fall, we asked a forester what to look out for. Trees that are suddenly leaning when they weren't before could be in trouble. Plus, look out for those with cracks in them that show lighter wood underneath.
Also what we call paradoxical motion, which is the tree, when the wind blows, it doesn't all move as a unit. It might move in different directions, showing that there's separation there and it's not connected anymore.
Well, the forester adds you should have your trees inspected on a regular basis, because once signs of trouble become obvious, then it can become too late. By the way, the city of Portland says it is now waiving permit fees to remove the trees and replant them, saving homeowners roughly $100. You're watching KGW News, and when we come back, a building collapse turns deadly in Boise. Well, we learned about the structure that was still being built when it fell. Plus,
you have a product that's killing people.
Well, the heads of several social media platforms get grilled on Capitol Hill as families who've lost children demand better.
And we've got some better weather coming our way for the first few days of February. If you like it dry and really some sunshine there. Not many showers left in Portland right now or Western Oregon. They're decreasing tonight. Groundhog Day, looking like a few shadows will be seen, and more this weekend.